The Mobile-Tensaw Delta, Alabama's lush labyrinth of bayous, backwaters, and braided rivers, has long been a pantry of nature. From musky swamp floors to sun-dappled shallows, indigenous peoples knew every leaf and root worth gathering. Let's journey through several wild edibles that nourished generations, each a living echo of Gulf Coast tradition. I'm your host, Stu Donald. Let's head to the Delta. In the still waters and black mud of the Delta, the duck potato grows where the land barely breathes. Recognizable by its arrowhead-shaped leaves and snowy white blooms, this native aquatic plant offers starchy tubers tucked beneath the surface of the water. Indigenous tribes like the Cherokee would loosen these tubers with poles or even their feet, letting the precious bulb float up like treasure. Cooked by roasting or boiling, duck potatoes taste like a rustic blend of chestnuts and potatoes, earthy, rich, and surprisingly satisfying. More than food, the duck potato's presence shape the ecology of wetlands. Its long roots stabilize the muck, its flowers attract bees and butterflies, and its seeds draw in birds and muskrats. You'll find it today in ponds and swamps from Alabama to the Dakotas, quietly bringing utility and elegance. For those who respect seasonal rhythms and harvest with care, it remains a living artifact of indigenous ingenuity. In the quiet coves and mirror-stilled oxbows, the American lotus unfurls its broad green pads and butter-colored blossoms. It's more than a beautiful aquatic spectacle. This plant fed and healed the people of the Delta. Its seeds, often nicknamed water popcorn, could be roasted for a crunchy snack or ground into flour. The tubers, long, knobby roots, were harvested much like duck potato and served boiled or roasted. Their flavor delicate and nut-like. This lotus is sacred in many native cultures, symbolizing renewal and purity. But it was also practical. Every part had a use. Even today, muskrats and humans alike dive through submerged tangles to retrieve its hidden bounty. If you've ever wandered near the Delta's stillest shallows and seen the lush pads growing together like lily rafts, you've glimpsed one of the South's oldest harvest traditions. The cattail, tough and often overlooked, is the Swiss Army knife of wetland plants. Indigenous groups harvested its young shoots for stir-fry or snacking, its rhizomes for flour, and even its pollen for nutritional baking. Found lining ditches and marshes like green spears, the cattail thrives where others wilt. Called Cossack asparagus in foraging circles, its tender shoots were peeled and eaten raw or cooked, offering a refreshing, slightly cucumber-like crunch. And the uses didn't stop at food. The fluffy seed heads served as insulation and pillow stuffing. The stalks were woven into mats and roofs, and the roots treated infections or inflammation. One plant: food, medicine, building material, and fiber source. Cattail gave all, and in the Delta's patchwork of sun and shadow, it still does. Sweet and humble, the Chinquapin is the South's answer to the chestnut. Native to upland edges near the Delta, this tree produces small nuts that are edible raw or roasted, offering a buttery crunch with a slightly nutty tang. Southeastern tribes prize Chinquapins for both their taste and reliability. They were among the last seasonal harvests before winter set in, filling bellies and baskets alike. Smaller than true chestnuts but easier to forage, Chinquapins often hide beneath fallen leaves. Spotting them takes patience and perhaps a memory passed down from generations. In modern foraging, Chinquapin nuts are often overlooked, but they remain a delicious connection to ancestral land use and seasonal awareness. Twisting through the underbrush like nature's barbed wires, Greenbrier is as defiant as it is nourishing. Its tough leaves are almost impossible to remove, but inside its tangle are young shoots and leaves edible and nutritious. Indigenous people peeled and sauteed the tender stalks, like asparagus, while the roots provided thickening starch for cooking or medicinal jelly. It produces a berry that, though edible, just isn't worth the effort. Despite the spiny armor, it's one of the most versatile wild edibles in the South. A poke salad is a storied southern dish made from young leaves of the pokeweed plant. Though the plant itself is toxic when raw, its tender spring shoots can be rendered safe and delicious through a meticulous process of boiling, often twice or even 3 times. They are then typically sauteed in bacon grease or oil and served with eggs, onions, or cornbread. Historically considered a poverty food, poke salad embodies the southern knack for turning wild, overlooked ingredients into culinary magic. Gliding across marshy canals and dugouts, tribes once harvested wild rice with wooden knockers, letting the grains rain down like treasure into woven baskets. This native aquatic grass wasn't just food, it was ceremony. Wild rice offered complete nutrition, deep flavor, and cultural identity. High in protein and fiber, the nutty grains could be boiled, roasted, or ground into flour. Sadly, wild rice is rare on the Delta today, a reminder of ecological shifts and colonial disruption. But its legacy remains in stories, in the few hidden patches still rustling in the breezes, and in the rise of those who remember the taste of something sacred gathered with reverence from the water. In the heart of the Mobile-Tensaw Delta, the Pawpaw tree, with its tropical leaves and maroon blossoms, produces North America's largest native fruit. Banana meets mango in every creamy bite. Locals know where to find them: shaded sloughs, oxbow bends, bottomland trails. They're a delicacy with a short shelf life, but that hasn't stopped foragers, chefs, and butterfly watchers from singing the pawpaw's praises. Because in the Delta, the riches aren't just beneath the surface, they're hanging in the trees, waiting to be tasted. Southern summers bring a sweet perfume to the edges of the forest. That's muscadine and scuppernong, grapes with thick skins and a wild heart. Indigenous tribes pluck these dusky orbs for wine, syrup, and fresh eating. Rich in antioxidants and bursting with tart sweet juice, both species are delicious and restorative. Often found tangling through fences and forest margins, they're a sign that warm weather and harvest season have arrived. Unlike their grocery store cousins, these don't need tending. They grow feral and free, happy in the humid winds of the Delta. Their legacy lives in local wines and homemade jellies. Located on the edge of the Delta, Alabama's oldest winery, Perdido Vineyards, specializes in wines, vinegars, and juice made from the area's native grapes. Huckleberries are wild-growing gems native to North America, especially abundant in the Pacific Northwest and Appalachian regions and along the Gulf Coast. Herbalists have long prized them for their potent antioxidant content, which help combat inflammation, support cardiovascular health, and bolster immunity. Traditionally, huckleberry teas and tinctures were used for soothing sore throat. They aided digestion and helped treat colds. Culinarily, these tart, vibrant berries are a chef's delight. Their intense flavor shines in pies, jams, syrups, and even craft beers. They're also a favorite in pancakes, puddings, and sauces, offering a wild, earthy twist that blueberries just simply can't match. Now their cousin, the farkleberry, is also known as sparkleberries or tree huckleberries, are also native to the southeastern United States, and though less commercially known, they carry a rich, folkloric, and medicinal legacy. Native American traditions use the bark and root extracts to treat diarrhea, sore throats, and even chronic eye conditions. The berries themselves, while mealy and tart when raw, become deeply flavorful when cooked. In southern kitchens, they're transformed into jellies, syrups, and the occasional wine. The farkleberry pie standing as a regional delicacy. Their sweet tart profile, reminiscent of cranberries with a hint of earthiness, make them ideal for blending with other fruits in preserves or baked goods. Also found in our natural berry garden are the aptly named American beauty berries, which are a striking native shrub known for their vivid clusters of magenta purple berries that ripen in late summer and linger into fall. Herbalists have long valued the plant for its multifaceted medicinal properties. The leaves are traditionally used by Native Americans as a natural mosquito repellent and brewed into teas to treat fevers, indigestion, and rheumatism. Culinary-wise, while the raw berries are mildly astringent, they transform beautifully when cooked, yielding delicate floral jellies, syrups, and even wines. Their subtle flavor pairs well with citrus and spice, making them a favorite for experimental preserves and seasonal foraging feasts. Mayhaws are small, tart red berries that grow on hawthorn trees native to the wetlands and river bottoms of the southern United States, especially in places like the Mobile-Tensaw Delta. Though they resemble tiny cranberries, their flavor is uniquely bold, puckery, and bright, with a hint of wildness that makes them perfect for jelly. For generations, Southerners have gathered mayhaws in early spring, often wading into swampy thickets to collect the fruit before it drops into the water. The jelly made from mayhaws is a prized delicacy, its ruby hue and tangy sweet taste evoking memories of family kitchens and seasonal rituals. Additionally, many varieties of blackberries and dewberries can be found along the banks of the Delta, as well as several edible mushrooms which are indigenous to the Gulf region, including oyster mushrooms, chanterelles, and chicken of the woods. Found throughout the region, the eastern red cedar is an evergreen conifer native to the eastern half of North America. Despite its name, it is actually a species of juniper, not a true cedar. Its berries can be brined to make capers. It is beyond obvious to say that the Delta is a source of all kinds of protein. Fish, both freshwater and saltwater, squirrels, rabbits, black bears, alligators, the usual suspects. But there's one more source of protein that is a bit underrated. Long before modern roads formed a perimeter around the Delta, its winding rivers were the lifeblood for indigenous communities, and within those waters, freshwater mussels flourished. Species like Philiptio, Lampsilius, and Quadrula clung to the salty beds of the Tombigbee and Mobile-Tensaw system, quietly filtering the currents. For the Choctaw, Creek, and other native peoples, mussels weren't just a seasonal meal, they were a symbol of renewal. Cooked over open flame or boiled in pits lined with river stones, they nourish both body and spirit. Their pearlescent shells, sometimes carved into tools or beads, became part of a culture steeped in reverence for the land. Alabama is more than just sweet tea, football, and hurricanes. It's a global stronghold for shellfish diversity, especially in its freshwater rivers. With nearly 180 species of mussels, from the triangular kidney shell to the elusive Alabama pearl shell, this state outpaces the rest of the U.S. and even most of the world. These ancient mollusks once thrived across the Tennessee River and Mobile-Tensaw Delta, anchoring ecosystems and cultures with quiet power. Some are found nowhere else on Earth, yet that richness is fragile. Half of these native species are at risk, casualties of pollution, development, and invasive competition. Worldwide, shellfish aquaculture is booming, but wild populations like Alabama's mussels face serious threats. Still, the legacy here is profound. To study these waters is to read the story of Earth's biodiversity, written in the shells of creatures that lived long before us and may vanish without our care. The Mobile-Tensaw Delta hosts a remarkable diversity of native edible species, shaped by its rich mosaic of wetlands, forests, and brackish estuaries. Among the flora, indigenous communities have long harvested wild rice, cattails, muscadine grapes, persimmons, and the starchy roots of arrowhead and greenbrier. The fauna is equally abundant. Fish like largemouth bass, bluegill, and flounder, shellfish such as freshwater mussels and even crawfish, and game including deer, turkey, and waterfowl. This ecological bounty not only sustained native peoples, but also shaped their culinary traditions, seasonal movements, and spiritual relationships with the land. And we can have that relationship too. All we have to do is head to the Delta.
Hey y'all, Stuart said if I could figure out how to click like and subscribe a bunch of times, he'd let me back up on the couch again. Would you mind tapping them for me one time?